Hello, this is part 2 of the item guide. We're talking about tier 2 items today. Real quick to get some stuff out of the way. My quote-unquote qualifications, I've gotten 6, or maybe it was 5. We'll go with 5. 5 40 plus streaks, 3 of those went 50 plus, and then my highest is a 58. I technically won 95 games in a row, but it was on a 53 streak on my desktop, and then my mobile was currently at a 42 when I lost the 53. So wasn't on the same platform, so it doesn't really count for the leaderboard, but it's something. I reset my stats every time I lose a streak, and I just lost one, so a lot of these will say not encountered yet, but I assure you I have played with stuff like Kilt and Peak Cap, etc. The point of this video is to point out item combos, what heroes to look for, stuff like that. It's not the tier list. Tier list is mostly for fun, and I'm literally coming up with it as we go. So don't take that part too seriously. But if you know of any combos or like notable things I missed, just let me know in the comments below. There will be a pinned comment going through these A to Z, and I'll include timestamps for every item I cover. If you leave a comment letting me know about a combo or like a notable thing you think I should have mentioned, and I think it's, you know, also notable or a cool combo, I'll include it in the timestamps, like parentheses next to the timestamp. Anything else I want to say before we get into it? I might make like a supercut of this at the very end, like edit in stuff I missed. Like people, one of the combos, for example, was like you can run lead boots with Doomblade and then replace the sticky blanks with non-sticky death sides. Maybe I'll in the like supercut, I think is the right term for it, I'll edit in like stuff like that. That sounds like a long video though. I don't know if I'll do that. Anyway, let's get into it. So first off, starting off strong is Ace of Spades. This is +2 to your left side and then -2 to your to everything else. I don't have examples for some of these that I want to show visually. So usually it's just making your characters into Gambler, but if you get something like Bowl, you can revert the changes. If you get like sides that replace any of these, it's pretty good, like Quiver or Broadsword. Or of course, if you get like Silk Cape, it's pretty cool. But usually it's pretty bad. Turning your character into Gambler is not a good thing. Crazy. Next up, also starting off strong, is Autumn Leaf. I think this might be the worst tier 2 in the game. We'll see as we go through it. This is mainly good on... Sorry, I should go through the items. I need to remind myself to do that. This is Outgrowth to your rightmost side. This is mostly good on... It's mostly okay on Armor, Fae, and Wizard. Wizard can kind of get some fun use out of it because you can inspire Wizard and grow twice in a turn, which is kind of cute. And then Armor or Fae just have like the best right sides in the game, pretty much. So it's okay on them to grow those sides, but usually this item is like super useless. I also want to clarify, I'm not going to include like 3-part combos. So like, yes, if you run Abacus, Agent, Autumn Leaf, AAA, that is a really good combo, but you know, hopefully you just know that when you see it. If I cover everything, we're gonna be here all day. So, and I don't want this video to be as long as the last one. So let's get through it. Next up is Big Hammer, which I think is pretty good. This is replace your middle side with a blank and then left side with a 5 damage heavy. This is nice if you have like a Bull or a middle side replacer. And then of course with all of the side replacers that are like more than 2 pips, they of course have combos with like Enduring and Dogma. So like this Venom here, we run Enduring, and then Big Hammer, we replace the Plague side with a 5 damage heavy Plague side. And then with Wizard, you know, you run Decree, and it boosts this perma boost to a 5, which is pretty good. And then of course you can fix Roulette with it. It's not my favorite Roulette fixer, but it works. Let's see, anything else? No. Okay. But yeah, pretty good item. Next up is Blessed Ring, which I think is... I'm gonna put it in fine. This is replace your rightmost side with Shield 1 Rescue. Most of the time, this is just gonna be Shield 1 to 2. But it is usually replacing a blank, so it's not a like bad thing, you know. It's really good if you can boost it with stuff like Duck or Singularity, because it's a lot easier to hit this rescue condition and then use it a bunch of times. So that's kind of neat. But usually it's just replacing a rightmost side with Shield 1 to 2. It's okay. Next up is Blessed Water, which I think is... I'll put it in good. This is replace your middle side with Heal 3 Vitality. It's an upgrade on a lot of characters. You know, you run it on stuff like Guardian. You run on stuff like Gladiator. You can run it on... Who would I run it on out of the oranges? Probably Trapper. Stuff like that. You can run it on Disciple, etc. There's a good amount of characters where this is an upgrade. And then, of course, you have Dogma Enduring. Again, I won't restate that for all the side replacers. Or, like, I'll just say Dogma Enduring. I won't visually show it. Just know it exists. Okay. Yeah, pretty good item. Anything else? No. Next up is Buckler, which I think is great. This is very often just going to be an upgrade. This is replace your middle side with Shield 3 Bloodless. So often this is going to be Shield 4 to like 6, which is pretty... It's an upgrade on every gray. Is there any I'd argue it isn't? Maybe Cleric if you need the cleanse. Maybe if you're doing like steel stuff with Knight. But it's an upgrade on all the grays, and then, you know, of course, it's probably an upgrade on a lot of other characters. You know, you run it on Disciple, you run it on Gladiator, etc. Very, very strong item. And then, of course, Dogma and Enduring. Next up is Burning Blade. This is replace your left side with 4 damage. And then minus 2 HP. Again, sometimes an upgrade. The minus 2 HP is a little hard to use, but if you're fighting like zombies or bones or, you know, anything with like 4 HP as like a breakpoint, this is a pretty nice item. You can run it on something like Glacia if you don't need the weaken. You can probably run it on like Disciple depending on the fight. Soldier, probably not. It's not a big enough difference. These guys all don't really like it. You know, you can run it on Whirl if you're in a single target fight, like that. Yeah, and then of course Dogma and Enduring, and then it also fixes Roulette. I don't know if I mentioned that already. Next up is Citrine Ring, which I think is... We'll put it in fine. This is +1 to your rightmost side, which is often your worst side, but on characters like Armor, Fae, Wizard, Eccentric, it's pretty good. And then, of course, you know, a +1 is still a +1. You can run it on, like, Wanderer, Surgeon, and it's still okay. It's fine. It's pretty much the definition of it. Not really any combos to mention other than heroes, of course. Alright. Next up is Clef, which I'm gonna put in... I think I'm gonna put it here. Here's the thing with Clef. Here's all the characters that can use it, right? I think unless you have a character that can immediately use it, you should probably not pick it. Because it's not super likely you're gonna see a use case for it, and even if you do, it's still not, like, that great. Most of these, it's just a +2 to your left side, which is okay. I don't know. It's just only affecting your left side is the thing. You gotta get the conditional 2 for it to be a +2 on this guy, you know. But all these characters use it pretty well. The only one I don't think doesn't really get much out of it is Assassin, arguably, because a lot of times 12 damage is overkill on something that's on half HP. Obviously, if you're fighting a boss, though, it's pretty good, but usually this is overkill. But yeah, all these characters use it pretty well. Ranger, Rogue, Fencer, Assassin, Gladiator, Sinew, Berserker, Collector, Curator, Captain, Prince, Valkyrie, Caldera. All pretty good, but I would not pick this item unless you already have one of these characters in your party. No, we'll keep it usually random. And again, don't stress too hard about the tier list. Next up is Clumsy Hammer, which I'll put like here. Again, don't worry about the tier list too much. Okay. Clumsy Hammer is replace your top side with 4 damage heavy engage. So all the enemies have to have the same HP for you to use this item. It's pretty bad, obviously. It's nice with, of course, Dogma and sometimes Enduring, but usually not, because you'll still keep the heavy and eliminate. You can use Inner Strength to get rid of the eliminate, and that's just 4 damage heavy. You can use Blindfold and just make it a 4 damage side, which is okay. It's fine on like the top and bottom blank characters like Gambler, Evoker, Ace, Poet. As like not a blank. It's pretty rare that you're actually gonna use this thing, but some fights it'll be applicable. It's also okay as a Wendigo counter, but pretty rarely useful, so I would usually random it. Next up is Faint Halo, which I'm going to put in Great. This is usually just +1 HP per turn. If you want to be a little more pessimistic, you could argue it's more like plus 0.5 HP a turn, because you're not always going to save someone. But this is +1 max HP this fight whenever I save a hero. Yeah, usually you're just gaining 1 HP a turn. If you can save multiple people with this thing, it's kind of cool. So if you're like saving, extreme example, but if you're saving like a Wretched Crown holder, you'll gain 5 HP off of it, stuff like that. It does, of course, work if you're killing monsters, but usually this is just best on your gray. Sorry, killing monsters that are threatening kills on your guys. But usually you just want to run this on your gray. You can run it on a red too, but it's more likely that your gray is saving people than your red. Next up is First Aid Kit, which is... Why is it all the way down here? I guess I didn't put that one in alphabetical order. Weird. Huh, okay. I'm gonna put it in Sometimes Useful. My gut instinct was to put it down here, but I took a look at the Unfair Guys like sheet just to make sure I'm not missing any like super obvious item combos. They have a little note section for stuff like that. I just took a quick scan through it. I saw that First Aid Kit was at like B, which is, I guess for this tier list would be like here or here. I personally don't get it. I know they play a bit more defensive, so Cleanse is really nice because usually what's going to stop defensive play in its track is stuff like Poison, Exert, just debuffs. So I guess I get it. And you can run it on a couple oranges, and it's like not too big of a downside. Like I'd run it on Dabbler in some fights. You can maybe run on Ranger. Any tier 3s I'd run it on? Not really. Maybe Sharp Shot. Maybe Dabless. I don't know. I just personally don't see it, but they're pretty smart people, so I'm gonna trust them a little bit, and I'll put it here instead of usually random. It's close though. I don't know. Maybe I just need to take this thing more. And then of course, Dogma Enduring. It's okay as a Wendigo counter also. Same thing for Blessed Water and Buckler. I should mention that for those two as well. Next up is Fletching, which I think is pretty bad. I'll put it here. This is add range to your left side. So, again, it's only affecting one side, and ranged is okay. It's not like necessary is the thing. You're probably not losing a run because you couldn't kill a sniper. Because like, basically, like, I'd say like a good 70% being generous of your runs just don't have ranged in it. So like, obviously, you don't need ranged. I don't know. It's nice when you get it though, sure. But I don't know. I don't think this is very useful. Again, don't worry about the tier list too much. Let's talk about item combos. You can combo this with Shuriken and Triple Shuriken, basically. That's about it. Next up is Flickering Blade, which I think is pretty great. This is replace your rightmost side, which is often a blank, with 1 damage copycat. So you're replacing a blank, and then copycat is also really strong. The main ones are like charge, steal, but you can also copy like quad use off agent or like Venom's plague side to just do it again. You can copy bloodlust. What's some other good ones? You could copy like weaken. Very, very good. Copycat is great. And again, usually replacing a blank. Very strong item. Next up is foil, which I think is also pretty great. This is replace your right side with 0 damage skill, so it'll deal as much damage as the hero's level. So on tier 1 hero, it's 1 damage, and on tier 3, it's 3 damage. This is mostly applicable to like juggler to fix this side, but you can also run it on like basically every hero, and it's okay. Like you can run it on trapper, you can run it on dabbler, ninja, if you don't want to dodge, spellblade, maybe. And then of course some characters just have a blank on their right side and you can run it on them, and it's pretty nice. It's a pretty good item. Next up is Friendship Bracelet, which is gain 2 empty max HP, and then monsters will flee when you have 5 times as much HP instead of 10 times. Usually this is just +2 max HP. I'm actually gonna move it down here. Starting off strong. Maybe I'll have to reorganize this. Bump some stuff up because I feel like there's too many items down here. This is usually just a worse scar. It sometimes matters into stuff like thorns, demons, chomps, etc. And maybe like you're going to survive a turn that you otherwise wouldn't with like poison. It's pretty rare though. I don't know. I also heard like a weird argument for this thing that it's like turning your HP into damage. It's like, I don't know if you have that much HP that it's damage, quote unquote. You're usually winning anyway. So I don't know. This is usually just +2 empty max HP. It's okay. It lets your red do something turn 1. Maybe I'll bump it up actually. I can move it up to here. It's okay. Probably like the lower end. We can do this, sure. Next up is Garnet, which I think is fine. We can put it here, sure. This is +1 to incoming healing. It's kind of nice with like Herbalist or the chalices. So here. How the hell do you spell chalice? Hold on. Huh? Oh, it's in the name, right? So like Blood Chalice and Ichor Chalice. It's kind of neat into those two. If you're running like Ichor Chalice, Witch with Garnet, kind of cute. But +1 to incoming healing is also just good. It's fine, you know. Next up is Golden Thread, which I think I'll put like here. It's kind of a weird item because it's either kind of useless or an Eye of Horus, which is crazy. So like on Veteran, of course you can run it and it's just a +1 to these shield sides, which is okay. But if you have like Polished Emerald, or the ideal combo is like Emerald Shard, and then you see this as your tier 2, and then your tier 2 is item as Eye of Horus, which is really funny. But you can also combo with Polished Emerald, and it's a Eye of Horus on a lot of reds and blues, just as long as it's not a damage side. And then of course you can run side replacers on it, so if you run like 1 craft plus Golden Thread, you get a +1 here. It's pretty rare that it is going to be an Eye of Horus, but I don't know. Sometimes you can take the gamble on it. I think I'll leave it here. It is the definition of sometimes useful. It's just kind of very swingy, I guess. Next up is Ice Cube, which has a lot of stuff to talk about, so bear with me. I'm gonna put it like here, or again, don't worry too much about the tier list part. So all the characters that have like single use, exert, decay on their left sides, of course, like Ice Cube. And then there's also item combos. A lot of them are tier 1, so like Corset, you just don't get the blank. Pendulum, you can replace your middle side with your left side. Compass, you replace your top side with your left side. And then Ballet Shoes, you replace your right side with your left side. Then Abacus later, you replace your rightmost side with your middle side, or sorry, your left side. And then of course you can combo with like Pocket Phylactery, Boots of Speed to not take the penalties, although, you know, Boots of Speed, it's an arguable penalty. Yeah, but if you don't have one of these tier items, basically it's just single use Exert, Decay, and then there's like 3 item combos for it: Pocket Phylactery, Boots of Speed, Abacus. So if you don't already have one of these things, it's probably not doing much for you. But it also has like the benefits of stasis, of course. It prevents weaken on your left side. It can prevent like assault turn 1, inflicting death on like your. Is there any characters who just have a left side cantrip? I don't. Or Fiend. Here we go. So like turn 1, assault hits Fiend with inflict death. You won't cantrip and kill yourself now, which is cool. Yeah, pretty. It's okay. I think I'll leave it down there though. It usually doesn't do much for me, is the thing. Kilt I think is great. There's a lot of heroes that really like this, and then there's also those like insane right to items like Infinite Heal, Tentacle. What else am I thinking of? Singularity, Duck. It's like you could do, again, I'm trying not to mention like 3-part combos, but one that I ran once that was really fun was Kilt Agent with Duck, and you get Echo on 2 of these right 2 sides, which is crazy. But a lot of heroes are just an upgrade because you're replacing an X. You know, you run on Sharp Shot, not on Venom, of course. Yeah, it's just basically always an upgrade. Sorry, I keep clicking on here as that it is not an upgrade. But like Bash, Barbarian, Leader, Doctor comes to mind, so you get a 3rd mana heal side and no blank. Very, very cool. A great item. Next up is Learn Remedy, which I'm also going to put fairly high. This is a 1 mana spell, which is single cast, heal 1, cleanse. It's really good to have on-demand cleanse just in your back pocket. You're usually not using this for poison, but you can. What you're usually using this for is inflict exert and inflict death. So like, you know, turn 1, you walk into Basalt and your poet gets hit with inflict death turn 1. That's really scary, but you just press remedy and basically fix the issue. Which is pretty cool. Cleanse is really, really good. And of course, you can still use it on like 1-pip weakens and poisons, and it's okay. Very, very strong item. Next up is Learn Wings, which is fine. This is heal 3 to your top and bottom character for 2 mana. When this is getting value, it is like, I think it's literally salve, right? It's 2 mana, heal 6, so it's better than salve, yeah. Very good when you are getting the value out of it, and you can often play around it and just not shield your top and bottom characters if you don't have to, and just focus on defending the middle 3 and then get wings value, which is kind of cute. Because also that'll, you know, now when enemies target your top hero at like 2 HP, there's only 1 enemy targeting them. All the other damage gets funneled into your middle 3 guys. You just press wings and, you know, do it all over again, which is sometimes neat. It's a fine spell. It's sometimes kind of hard to get value out of it, but I think I'd put it up here. I've gained some respect for wings. I think it's pretty good. Does that mean I should put it up here? Nah, well, I'll put it at the top end of fine. I think sometimes it's... I think it's a lot better than people realize, basically. Next up is leather gloves. This is copy your rightmost side onto your top and bottom sides. This you're mostly just taking for to enable eccentric later on, and that's about it. You can get some, you know, of course, those right to buff items like Singularity or Duck. You can run like Duck, Leather Gloves, Wizard, which is pretty fun. But usually you're just taking this to go, okay, I can actually take eccentric now, and not, you know, panic, or panic slightly less. He's not even that good with leather gloves, I'm gonna be real. I mean, he's fine with leather gloves. This is very much the eccentric item, though. Next up is Liqueur? I don't know. Why is it spelled different? It's always confused me. I think it's supposed to be pronounced differently, but I don't know how. Anyway, this is swap your top side with your rightmost side, and then +2 max sword mana. It's fine. I think I'll put it like down here. It's fine. Again, this is good with like the right 2 buff stuff. You know, you swap like, I don't know, spell blades top side over and then put Duck on it. It's kind of cool. Other than that, it's okay. Being able to store 5 mana is sometimes nice for stuff like charged, and also, you know, it's just nice to bank 2 bursts instead of 1. Yeah. Sometimes it enables some cool items, I'm sure. Like it can swap with a blank, and then you run a top side replacer, which there's not a lot of in the game. Only one that's coming to mind right now is Enhance Wand, which is kind of bad. Spoilers on that one, I guess. It's fine. Honestly, I'm considering moving it lower. We'll put it at the bottom end of fine. Okay, next up is Needle, which might surprise you, but I'm actually gonna put it up here. Will I? I think I'll put it at the low end here. If you can blindfold this, it's just a Face of Horus, which is really good. It's a great Wendigo counter, and it can sometimes just be a, you know, good option depending on the fight. If you're fighting like Lich, for example, you can run it on like Spellblade, and anytime the bones is at 3, you're getting, you know, you're killing that bones and then getting 3 mana out of it, which is kind of cool. So sometimes you can run it. It's one of those situational items, or like, not like, I don't know. It's an item you're not equipping every fight, I guess is a better way to put it. Yeah, I'll put it at the end of this. Sure. I do think I'm usually randoming this thing, actually. We'll put it at the top end, but it has its situations. You just kind of gotta look out for them. Next up is Origami, which I think is fine. It's nice with side replacers, of course. If you have Enduring, Dogma, if you took Bowl, is it good with Bowl? Origami being replace each side with its opposite. Why would you bowl this? Sorry, I got a comment last video about how Origami was good with bowl. Oh wait, I get it. Okay, so you're putting your middle side on your rightmost side, I think, is how it works out. I don't know. Anyway. But mostly it's good for like side replacers, because you're swapping your left side with your right side, or like your middle side with your rightmost. So you can swap like a blank to one of these 2 spots and then run a left side replacer or a middle side replacer, which is kind of cool. And then you can do some really silly stuff with Urn, because you're moving everything around. Or a Dogma. Okay. Next up is Peak Cap, which I think is great. This is replace your left side with your middle side, which is usually a downgrade, but on a couple characters it isn't. Especially like depending on the fight. You know, you can run it on Glacia in fights where you don't want the weaken. You can run it on like Caldera when you really need mana. You run it on Seer if you want poison, I guess. Stuff like that. It's like nichely applicable. And then it fixes roulette, and it does a really good job at fixing roulette. It's a great side. And then also it's really nice because it can enable some infinites. Because all the reroll sides are on your middle side. So pretty cool for enabling infinites later on. Maybe I should bump it down to just good. We'll leave it in great. I think this is a really good item. Yeah, again, don't worry too much about the tier list part. Next up is Pillow, which I'm gonna also put in usually random. Maybe this is the worst tier 2. It might be. Anyway, the notable thing with Pillow is like here I'm using Parry onto Knight. If you do that, it doesn't count as you using the side, so you still get the ×2 from the patient. And then of course it's nice if you're using like Sinew or Bash. It's mostly good on Bash. On Sinew, it's like, I don't know, it's a 2 cleave, which you get after basically 3 turns, which is not great. On Bash, it's pretty cool because it ups it to a 14. And ideally you do it over and over, but probably not is the thing. It's only affecting one side, and it's pretty bad keyword. Next up is Polearm, which is probably the best tier 2 in the game. Maybe. This is nice, of course. It's like Warlock here. You usually don't want the side, so now you just replace it with mana. If you're running something like Short Sword, you can now replace it with Polearm. Or sorry, you can run Polearm and just replace the Short Sword sides with that. It's nice for roulette. It makes roulette really good, because now this character is just always dealing 8 damage a turn, which is really good, especially if you walk into the hand and that gets up to 12 damage a turn. You can also run it with Wax Seal for really good value. And then I don't know why I picked Pin for this example. I probably should have gone with Wrist Blade. That's one's more likely that you'll see. But if you can run it with like Wrist Blade and replace your blanks with your top side, which is really good. Very, very strong item. Next up, I just realized I haven't really been ordering the great ones, and I think I'll keep it like that. Again, don't worry about tier lists. Maybe I should just not bother with the ordering within the tiers. Keep it A to Z. Anyway, next up is Powdered Mana, which, as I talked about earlier, so stuff like Cracked Wheel and Lead Boots, it'll have these blank sticky sides, and you can fix it with this, and then only roll the sticky ones, which is kind of neat. Other than that, it's just you know, decent item. I think it's fine. We can put it like here. 1 mana is not the worst thing to end on. It's not a blank, but it's fine. Next up is Quicksilver, which I also think is really strong. How do I put it? Sorry. So it's really good on steel characters. You know, you run it on like Scrapper or Bash or Brawler, and you just keep the shields that don't get spent or like don't get damaged. Very, very strong. It also makes characters like Knight and Keeper functionally immortal if you're not fighting into poison or just like, you know, way too much upfront damage. Because you can just keep stacking this on themselves, and then, you know, they shield themselves, and you just keep on going, and then you're at 9,900 shields, and then you just start repelling the enemy down. Very, very cool. Like, you can't lose to Inevitable if you just keep steel spamming onto Keeper, which is pretty funny. Or I guess no. Yeah, you could actually lose that, because I guess he could, like, weaken... Never mind. You get what I mean, though. as long as there's not poison in play, Knight and Keeper can become like functionally immortal with this item, which is really good. And then it's also just really nice on steel. Next up is Rain of Arrows, which I'm gonna put like down here. It's this is replace your top side with 1 damage ranged duplicate. You can sometimes do some cool stuff with it. You can run like a really ballsy one is Sparks, which is add cantrip to this basically. You gotta be really careful about locking your dice if you do that. Like character holding this, if you don't roll it turn 1, you probably should just lock immediately. Because you don't want to roll this on like your last roll and replace everyone with 1 damage. That always sucks. If you hit it turn 1, that's like what? 5 and then 4, so that's 21 damage ranged hits, which is really good. Pretty good damage. Very, very cool. But usually you're not hitting the combo on it. It's fine though. If you get if you can like boost it, it's okay. You know, you run like Boarhide on it and it's fine. It's still pretty bad. Let's not get it twisted. Next up is Rejuvenation Wand, which I think is... I'm gonna actually put it in fine, which is maybe surprising. This is obviously really, really strong with Dogma and Enduring. This is replace your top and bottom sides with heal 10 single use. So, sorry. If you run this on like Enduring on like Wizard, you get like shield 10 mana gain, which is crazy. It's also just not a bad item. You can run it on like Gambler, Ace, Prince, Evoker, etc. I think that actually is all 4 of the top and bottom blank guys. Heal 10 is a lot. And sometimes it's an upgrade on some heroes. Like I'd run it on Herbalist probably, to be honest. Sometimes it's an upgrade. It's okay. Next up is Sapphire. This one also has like Dogma Enduring, but it's a lot less likely that's actually good. But it is just a good item on its own. Mana is very flexible. Or sorry, this is replace your middle side with 2 mana. Mana is very flexible, and just making more mana is often very good if you have a good payout for it in your blue. It's also often an upgrade. You know, I'd run it on like Gladiator, Berserker, Collector, maybe Scrapper, depending on how the team is. Sinew for sure, probably on Brute, maybe Whirl, you know, stuff like that. I don't want to go through every character, but you get the idea. Pretty nice item. Very often an upgrade. This is Sapphire Skull. This is upon death gain 2 mana. This only really combos with like weird revive strats, and like intentionally killing your characters, which is usually a bad strat. But if you're running something like Lich Eye, it is just 2 more mana on top of your crazy shit. So go off, I guess. You usually don't want your characters dying though, is the thing. We'll put it like there, I guess. It's pretty whatever. Next up is Silver Imp. This is replace your top and bottom sides with 1 reroll Pain. You can run this on like you know, Ace, Evoker, Prince, Gambler. It's a little scary to run though. And if you're able to hit like Inner Strength or Eggshell on this, it's basically gonna give you an infinite, which is pretty cool. So it's sometimes useful. Sometimes you hit some cool stuff for it, and you can sometimes run it on stuff like Prince or Ace. Next up is Spinach, which is at the start of turn heal 3, or sorry, start of the first turn. This is basically Bone Charm, but you can move it around. It's only worse than Bone Charm on characters with more than 7 HP. sorry, the use case of this, of course, is like if a character dies, they come back at half. So you use this to heal them at the start. It's pretty good. You can also use it with stuff like Scar, Golden Cup, or Flawed Diamond to just immediately fill that empty max HP. I'll put it at like the low end of good. I feel like it doesn't often get use, but when it gets use, it's really nice to have. Square wheel. I'm gonna put like here. This is replace your 2 right sides with blanks, and then replace your middle side with a one reroll cantrip. You can sometimes enable infinites on it, and it's an upgrade on like a decent amount of heroes. Like you can run it on Guardian, you can run it on Berserker, you can run it on like Warlock, Venom, depending on, you know, your team in the fight. It's okay. And again, enables infinites, which is pretty neat sometimes. Next up is Static Tome, which I'm gonna put all the way at the top of good. I'm gonna just put it in good. Could go in great though. Again, don't worry about the tier list. This is replace your top and bottom sides with 1 mana pair. If you can boost this with like Boarhide, you know, now that's 6 mana, which is pretty cool. You know, you run like Twisted Flax on it, it's also pretty nice. You can run it with like Sparks or Jeweled Loop, which is cool. And then of course it allows you to play stuff like Gambler, Evoker, maybe Prince, maybe Ace, you know. This is Statuette, which is +6 HP. And then replace your middle row with blank sides. So I think it's, I'm gonna put it at the top of rarely, or sorry, sometimes useful. The very top, it could go in fine. The HP is really nice to have. You can run it on some heroes and have it be okay. Like I've run it on Spellblade before when I just wanted the 1 damage mana gain. I don't know if that's necessarily the right call, but you can run it on like Trapper in like boss fights that you don't care about the dodge and just want the vulnerable hits. It's sometimes applicable. And then of course you can fix it with stuff like Bowl or Memory, or like, I mean, you could even run Pocket Phylactery on it and just get like +12 HP on a character, which is pretty neat. But you can also run it with like Longsword or Splitting Arrows to, you know, fix the blanks. It's pretty good. Kind of like that we're not doubling up on the rows, so I'll leave it in sometimes useful, but it's at the very top. Next up is Terrarium, which I'm gonna put in great. This is replace your 2 right sides. Replace your 2 right sides with the right side becomes 2 shield 2 growth, and then the rightmost side becomes 1 mana growth. This is really nice, of course, on stuff like Juggler. You fix Juggler. You can run it on Scrapper to get rid of all his blanks. 2 of the best characters in the game, Venom and Warlock, have their 2 right sides as blank. Berserker also can run it. So it's pretty nice for that, and it's just good. Like 1 mana as your worst side, 1 mana growth, I mean. It's fine. And 2 shield is not nothing. Pretty good. Very, very good item. It's almost always an upgrade for a lot of characters. Next up is Tower Shield, which first one in the while that's going in, usually random. I'll put it like here-ish. This is basically just for Dogma and sometimes for Enduring. That's about it. This is replace your middle side with shield 7, I believe. Yeah, shield 7 heavy. You can also play it on stuff like Stoic, because you redirect and then you tower shield them, and it's okay. It's just kind of an annoying item to use, so I don't like running it. Next up, Twin Daggers, which I'll put in good. It can go like here. This is replace your top and bottom sides with 1 damage cantrip. This can allow you to play Evoker, Gambler, maybe maybe Prince, maybe Ace, once again. It's good if you can boost the top and bottom sides. It's an upgrade on a good amount of characters, especially tier 1s. And the biggest item combo for it is Smelly Manure in tier 3. Getting growth on your cantrip sides is really, really good. Yeah. It's a pretty strong item. Next up is Wandify, which I'm also gonna put in good. We can put it like here, sure. This is add single use to your 2 right sides and also give them +1 pip. You never really want to land on your right 2 sides, so when you're forced to play them, it's nice to have the +1. You know, if you're running something like Warden, you don't want to land on these sides, but if you do, now this is a shield 3, and now this is a shield 2. That's pretty nice. And then, of course, if you're running on, like, Armor or Fae, it's very, very strong. Yeah, just a pretty good item. And then, finally, we have Worn Arms, which I will put at the low end of fine, sure. This is replace your top side with 2 damage, and then replace your bottom side with 2 shield. Once again, lets you play Gambler, Evoker, maybe Prince and Ace. Has like Dogma and Enduring combos potentially. And it's sometimes an upgrade. It's often an upgrade for your tier 1s, which is nice. But almost never late game, of course. But this is nice. Lets you play Evoker Gambler mainly. Yeah. I believe that is everything. What's our time? 46 minutes. All right, not bad. But yeah. Again, main point of this is to just talk about the items. The tier list part, I just went through as we went. I think I'm fairly happy with it. Is there anything I'd move? I'd maybe move these 3 down, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Hopefully I mentioned a good amount of combos. Hopefully you learned something. Once again, if you think I missed something important, just let me know in the comments and I will add it to the timestamps below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back next week with tier 3.